Thank you and good morning. I appreciate that, Mitch. It's nice that you even remembered who I was. That was a good thing. So, listen, I got to start by thanking Jim for what it was an incredible presentation, and particularly that video. When I looked at the faces of those children at the end when they were bringing the roof material to their own homes and the joy that you saw, that shows you what a difference SAS makes around the world, but it also shows you what international engagement can mean to human beings all over the world when they're in stress and otherwise. So thank you to Jim and to SAS, but I also want to take a moment and thank Jim Goodnight, who, as you know, is one of the co-founders of SAS and the CEO who has built this company into really a world leader. And Jim has been incredibly supportive of the University of North Carolina system. He's particularly supportive of NC State, which is where he was on the faculty when he founded this great company, but he has been supportive of the entire university system. This place feels a little bit like a second home to us because we use it so often, and we're so grateful to him and to SAS for allowing us to use this facility. You know, it is an important opportunity today, in my view, to think about where we are as a society and where we are in our global engagement, particularly when we think about what's going on around the world. We could not have a better leader for the Center for International Understanding than Rick Van Zant, who has joined us. He was living in Dubai at the time. He's lived lots of different places. He knows the world incredibly well. And he's also innovative and creative and thinking of new ways to help North Carolina engage. And so I really appreciate Rick's leadership, and I appreciate him asking me to be here on behalf of the University of North Carolina. I think everyone in the room would agree that understanding North Carolina's place in the world and taking advantage of our international connections is critical. It's critical to our state's economy. It's critical to job creation, but it's amazingly important and critical to the residents of this state. Those of us charged with leading our public university believe that we have an economic and really a moral responsibility to help citizens across this state to get ready to work and thrive in today's global economy. Our Center for International Understanding has built an enviable track record in helping North Carolina students, teachers, and leaders to become more globally engaged. And I hope you will learn more about the center and the work they do with public school teachers and with business leaders, and also with our public policymakers to help them better engage with the world. You know, when I was at Davidson College, 80+% of our students had at least one international experience. Most of them had 6 or 7. We're not as fortunate in the UNC system to be able to have the resources for our students to have international experiences at the same level. But every student I've ever talked with who has had an international experience, whether it's for a week or for a semester, for a year, whatever, has told me that it changed their life in some way. And I remember in 2000, I was the director of the court system in North Carolina and was asked to go with the Center for International Understanding to Mexico with a group of policy leaders from around the state. And, you know, I remember telling my chief of staff, you know, I don't really have time to go to Mexico. I don't know what I'll get out of that. But he talked me into it, said, you really ought to go and have the experience. And I went, and I will tell you, it changed my life. I was only there a week, but it changed my perception of the people of Mexico. I learned how committed they are to their families and to their faith, how hard they work, how much they admire and appreciate the United States and the work that we do together as nations. It caused me to come back and start an interpreter program in our courts because we weren't treating people fairly at the time. We had people who only spoke Spanish that would come to court, excuse me, and could not understand what was going on. And so they would bring people who were standing out in the hall into the courtroom to act as an interpreter, and oftentimes those people didn't necessarily interpret it exactly like it was happening, and people weren't treated fairly. So we started that interpreter program. It's still going on today, and I think is an important part of the court system. I went in 2012 with a group from the Board of Governors to China, my first trip to China, and we were fortunate to have someone with Confucius Institute at NC State who went with us and acted as our guide. And she was from Nanjing University and was a tremendous resource for us. But again, you know, I learned so much about the culture of that country and what we have as an opportunity if we engage with them. And we have businesses there. Any business you see here, you see there. But we can do even more that will benefit North Carolina and frankly do more that will benefit our students if we continue to build our relationships there. In the end, of all the things we do at the University of North Carolina, the one that is the most important is preparing our students for their futures. And their futures are going to be in a different kind of economy, in a different kind of world than mine was and most of yours. We need to do our part to prepare them not only to be creative thinkers, to be innovative, to be able to communicate well, both orally and in writing, to understand data, to be able to use that data to solve problems, to work in teams. But we need them to engage globally. They need to understand what it means to be a citizen of the world, not just their local community or their college campus, because their future is going to be in the world, not just in the United States. The world's economy and the interactions between nations is growing so fast that if our students are going to find their place and be successful, we have to do the best we can in engaging those students internationally. And that means giving the opportunity for as many as possible to go overseas. It means bringing international students to our campuses that can expose our students here to international experiences. It means using technology and being creative and doing as we already do, which is teach classes at East Carolina University, for example, that the class is made up of people from 20 different countries, video live connections. I went in Nanjing to a classroom in which it was 8 o'clock at night in Nanjing and 8 o'clock in the morning at East Carolina. The students at East Carolina, not so much awake yet, but they were trying. And the interchange between those two groups of students was remarkable to observe. It was giving those students back in Greenville an international experience. And we've got to do more of that, think of new ways to do it, and prepare our students. We also, I think, are blessed in the UNC system to have remarkable faculty. And I say often that you can't have a great university without great faculty. And it's sometimes you have an opportunity to share faculty with others, to introduce them, let them speak, share their knowledge and expertise. Well, today I have a particularly high honor, and you have a real privilege, I think, to hear from one of our faculty, because it's my opportunity to introduce to you a member of the faculty at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, who I think exemplifies the global impact of scholarly research and our collaborations around the world about as well as anyone can. His name is Dr. Aziz Sanjar. He is the Sarah Graham Keenan Professor of Biochemistry and Biophysics at the UNC School of Medicine in Chapel Hill. He's been on the faculty since 1982, engaged in his research here since 1982. He's also a member of the UNC Lineberger Comprehensive Cancer Center. Just last month, you might have noticed that Dr. Sanjar was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his groundbreaking work in mapping DNA repair in our cells. His work provides a crucial basis of knowledge necessary to develop better treatments that protect DNA against damage. that damage can often result in cancer. He shared the award with two other researchers. One, 20 minutes away at Duke University, a collaboration between two great institutions, and the other with a scientist from Great Britain, a worldwide international collaboration. Three faculty that came together and made life-changing discoveries that resulted in a Nobel Prize. Dr. Sancar attended medical school in Turkey, and when he left there, he wanted to earn a doctorate. So he came as an international student to the University of Texas at Dallas, where he earned his PhD as an international student. I asked him, I said, Dr. Sancar, when you came here to get your PhD, did you plan to stay? He said, oh no, I was going back to my country. So here's a man who came here after he got his medical degree in 1969 to get his PhD and go home. But he stayed. And he stayed and became the first scientist east of the Rocky Mountains to clone a gene. And he came to UNC Chapel Hill in 1982 and began research on mapping DNA damage. And here we are in 2015 with me having the honor of introducing to you Dr. Aziz Sancar, the Nobel Prize winner in chemistry for 2015. Please welcome Dr. Sancar.